was a perfect day for making gains. Because my mother's out. It means I can make all kinds of noise. But I woke up this morning, I forgot to film breakfast, I filmed afternoon salad, and the camera didn't film it properly. Ball bag gains. Now it's time to film soup gains. All kinds. Okay, so I'm preparing soup gains. Right. Okay, so let's just put some shit there to steady the camera. Okay, camera steadied, good. Okay, I'm drinking lime juiced in water. Just juice the lime up, put it in water, lovely. Sometimes dip with lemons too, just depends what I've got at the time. Right, soup gains. That's a saucepan. If you didn't know already. Butternut squash, sweet potato. Don't have normal potatoes in it anymore. Celery gains. I know some people don't like celery, but I absolutely love it. I only have like just a stick. Stick will do. I've already had a stick with my salad today, so. Onion. Right, onion. Mushrooms, carrots, parsnips. Feel free to put whatever you want in. But I think if you have these root veg, it's like a staple diet along with the fruit for the morning and then the salads for the afternoon, you can't go wrong, man. It's building a beautifully strong body. But you know, obviously if you live in the tropics, you know, you can get by on sucking on fruits all day long. That's great, but we don't, do we? So we're fat. Let me just show you what I do here. This is just a little bit of a trick. I'll show you in other vids that I've done that I haven't posted yet. That's where all my food scraps go. Yeah? Okay. I've actually done another vid. I've juiced up some beetroot. I'll show you a bit more of that. Okay. That's my mum's washing up bowl, right? And I use it to wash up as well. But I don't use that to wash my food. Okay, I've got a bowl that I hang up out of the way so it don't bother anyone. And then even if her bowl's full of washing up and I want to get in and do my tea, phone ringing! I can just put that on top, don't matter what's in the bowl, and I can start washing my food in that. So it don't matter what my mum's doing, she can have a bowl full of shit and I can just get in and wash my food. Yeah, so I'm just going to plug my charger back in and put the camera just up there a bit. Yeah.
Hello, we're not available now. Please leave your name and phone number after the beep. We will return your call. Oh, it was only me. I was going to have a little chat. I'll leave it till tomorrow. I hope you're okay. Hope you're not at the hospital or anything like that. Okay then, bye.
Aunt Catherine, speak to her later. Right. Gains. Slice of ring on it, bitch. Now this is a great invention. Right. I wish I could really just show you a bit more about what I'm actually doing here, because it's little things like this that either make it successful or not. Because if it's too much like hardware, people are going to go, oh fuck that. Right, just scraping the top off that. Right, you see, I'm holding it in a bit of an awkward way because I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. Otherwise I'd just hold it like that and do it like that and it'd be a lot easier. Okay, and I'll just chop, and chop, and in the bowl that bitch goes. Okay, now celery. Celery ideally needs to be scrubbed. This is a scrubber that I only use for scrubbing food, like the bowl. I only use it for that purpose. I scrub the celery, and I chop the ends off. Both ends go, and then I chop. Okay. And end up with that beautiful stuff. In the pan it goes. Right, chop. I'm not going to have all of that. This is parsnip, yeah. So this beautiful device makes it so easy to just strip off all the external layer. Absolutely flipping wonderful, right? You go out of the way, then slice, chop, 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 chop. And this is what I do most days now for my tea, these soup gains, because yeah, I think you only need a varied diet if you're eating a shit diet, which is because you're not getting enough nutrients in what you're eating anyway. But if you're eating an optimally perfect diet for the body, mushrooms, you can eat that bitch all day long, every day, because it's giving the body everything it needs to be healthy and strong. So I'm just washing these mushrooms now. Mushroom gains! Not the tip kind. Not the tip kind. No. I'm saving that bitch for later. Right. So, chopping these shrooms up. Not the magic kind. I'm saving them bitches for later too. You better believe I'm saving them bitches. Yeah, mushroom gains. Holy the mushrooms are. Holy gains. Very good for you as well. These white, just simple white button mushrooms. Google it, man. Find out just exactly how nutritious white button mushrooms are. And it's actually quite impressive. Now, all this food that I'm putting in here, apart from the celery, isn't really an ideal diet for a human being to eat raw, really. This isn't raw food. This is root vegetables. They're not the best thing. Sweet potato. They're not the best thing to eat raw. Body doesn't really digest that very well. Dr. Morse will say, they're for horses and herbivore animals, and I understand that. It's fine. Of course, when you live in a freezing cold country where you can't grow fruit trees, you haven't really got. I mean, we're lucky in this day and age that we've got aeroplanes that can fly our fruit in. And what did they have a couple of 100 years ago? They had jack shit. They had food like what I'm cooking now. That's what they had. That's what they survived on. Now, this, I personally believe, can be very highly nutritious. Okay, there's all the sweet potato in. But it needs to be cooked to release that nutrition. I don't give a shit what anyone says. We can't eat everything raw. We can eat certain things raw. That's what we're supposed to eat, mainly. Fruits, salads, raw. I agree. But if we're going to eat things outside of that diet, they will need to be cooked to release some of the nutrients. Now, cooking this is, we're basically boiling it in water, and we're softening it down, and some of the nutrients is coming out into the water as well, and making a bit like, well, we call it a soup, but there's not much difference between soup and tea, in my opinion. You're extracting some of the essential ingredients out of the herbs and, well, the veggies, the fruits, not the fruit, the veggies, the herbs and the veggies, and you're extracting some of the essential ingredients out of them to make it easier for the digestive system to use it. And the reason for that is because the digestive system can only absorb things in liquid form in its first stage, which is the small intestine. Liquid form, it likes it in liquid form. It likes it soft and mushy, and it can absorb all that. Whatever it then can't absorb out from the small intestine in liquid form will then go through to the large intestine, also called the large bowel, or the colon, it will then get broken down by bacteria, healthy bacteria of course, healthy gut flora as they call it, and then you will further extract nutrients out of it, and whatever can't be extracted, which is normally fibre, will come out as your shite. Simple. A lot of people are given this false impression that you eat something and your stomach juices, stomach acid goes in, turns it all into liquid, and it all gets absorbed and everyone's happy. It's not true. Anyone that's done colonic irrigation, like enemas, colonic irrigations, and fasted and stuff like that, will know that just simply isn't true. If the body was that affected, it'd be great because you could just eat metal and everything, and it all just turn to liquid and you just absorb it. But it don't work. Like eating wood and all kinds of shit. It don't work like that. The body needs our nutrition. Our body needs our food to be a liquid, really, ideally. Whatever don't go in as liquid, like bread and stuff like that, will just literally come straight out as solid. You might get some nutrition out of it. I'm not saying you can't get nutrition out of foods like that, because I personally don't think the human race would have survived this long if we couldn't get nutrition out of things like that, because people in our country, in England, when you look at the diets they've had for hundreds of thousands of years, once they moved away from the tropical regions and they had to look at alternative foods for survival, and they created what we now know as modern food, they had to preserve their fruits, so they made jams, and they made other things to enable them to survive through the winters. Like flour can be stored, and you can make bread all year round. They didn't really do it because they wanted to. They did it because they didn't really have much choice. It's about survival. There's a difference between eating for health and eating for survival. You can survive on just sugar all day long. Just put sugar in water and you can survive on it. You're not necessarily going to be that healthy. But we're not talking about health, we're talking about survival. They're two different things, survival and health. And that's what I'm saying, So, you see what I'm trying to say here is that it's not just about eating healthy foods, man. It's about getting the right outlook towards what it is that you're actually trying to achieve here. And really, I think it really goes properly hand in hand with the spiritual path. And that's why you'll see that in yoga and like Essene, gospel and stuff like that, which we all love, that one of the first things, you see, overriding it but still the same subject, you go to a yoga class in the UK and you see a lot of camel toe. Oh yeah, all kinds of camel toe. But basically, all they do is they just teach you some postures, some standing postures, yeah? Stand like this and you'll be strong. Great, okay. When you look at yoga in further detail, the standing postures is just a very small part of it. There's a great big entire philosophy of what it really is all about. And one of the first things involved in yoga is looking at what you eat, your diet. First and foremost, they become vegetarian, vegan ultimately. And they do that for the... They do that actually for the non-harming element of it, to non-harm other animals, and the reason for that is because obviously you don't want to make anything suffer, but most importantly you don't want to make yourself suffer, because the purpose of yoga is to find spiritual enlightenment, just like the purpose of Buddhism, finding spiritual enlightenment. And spiritual enlightenment is actually, believe it or not some great fantasizal thing about this wonderful palace of nirvana and everything. It's actually simply the ending of suffering. That's all it is. It's just the end of suffering for yourself. Because the first primary fundamental principle is that suffering exists. And it will always exist, and there's nothing that you can do about that. You cannot end other people's suffering. You can end your own suffering. And you can do that by following something that the Buddha termed the Eightfold Path. And the yogis for thousands of years prior to the Buddha called the path of the yogi. The path of yoga. Union between mind, body and soul. And it goes into basically living correctly. You know, non-harming is the first principle, to not harm other species, other animals. And this is what I was trying to say in the beginning. Yeah, I mean, why would you want to harm something anyway? But I mean, unfortunately, you eat meat, you are actually harming other animals because they're being slaughtered and they're being abused and all kinds of shit like that. So that's why a lot of these hippie, vegan, yoga types actually do that. It's not actually for the health benefits of it, it's actually more for the benefit of the non-harming. Another thing as well is because there's always karma. You go and eat a McDonald's hamburger, which we've all done. I used to eat loads of it, and that's partly why I got ill, because I screwed my digestive system up, and that's another story. But we've all done that. We've all eaten kebabs and all that kind of stuff. Some of us unknowing of what harm we're doing to ourselves and to the world, basically, and to other animals and stuff. We kind of be a little bit ignorant about it. We just think, oh, well, everyone else does it, so it's okay. But you see, there's always karma. So if you're harming another animal, you cannot possibly find true spiritual enlightenment. You can find happiness. There's happiness out there, even in the material world. There's some level of happiness, but it's not going to be the kind of lasting happiness that we ultimately seek. Because the lasting happiness that we ultimately seek is the end of suffering. And if you're making another species suffer, then there's always karma. So even if it comes down to the level where you've got to live with the guilt, if you're getting to the level where you are actually attaining nirvana, and you're actually seeing through the great illusions of everything and realising that shit, I can actually become free of all this bullshit, and I don't have to do what everyone else says, and and I can free my mind, basically, Matrix Neo style and all that, and clean up my life and clean up what I do in my life and stuff. When you're getting to that level and you're finding that level of purity and you're finding that level of harmony and union and love within, it is of course God is love and everything's love, but unfortunately we've got a lot of hate in the world as well. But when you find that level, you'll find a big guilt inside, a big weight of can I say it? It's complicated, but it's a guilt, and it ties us to suffering, it ties us to the feeling of pain and upset and hurt, knowing that other beings are in pain as well, which is why there's a very strong. It's alright, someone's outside, I wonder who that is. There's a strong element of practicing compassion for all beings that suffer in order to attain the end of suffering for ourselves. And it does kind of go hand in hand. It's like, neighbour's got a new car. Not that I'm being nosy or anything, but I just saw that orange car pull up and I thought, what the hell's that? So either they've had an accident and it's a courtesy car, or they've bought a new car. Nosy neighbour gains. So I've come out here because I'm boiling the kettle because I'm doing myself a drink. I was on all my herbal teas for a while, but I've actually kind of just really been fancying coffee, so I'm having decaf coffee for a little bit, with a bit of almond milk in it. Nice the almond milk is. So yeah, rabbiting on all day long about karma and shit like that. I mean, shit. Ultimately, I'm no fucking, I'm no messiah or anything. There's nothing special about me. I'm just practicing it myself. That's all. I'm not saying, oh, I'm perfect, I've done it, you all got to do this too. I'm practicing it myself. It's not somewhere that you end up. It's not a destiny. It's a path that you follow for the rest of your life, ultimately. And there's always consequences. That's what karma is, I suppose. It's consequences of actions. There's always consequences of actions. Even the most pleasurable things in life have consequences. you know, want to go and get a bit of camel toe. It's nice, isn't it? But you can't tell me that there ain't consequences involved in it on one level or another. Know what I mean? You want to eat yourself a curry or a pizza on Saturday night. It's nice. It's a treat at the weekend to balance things out. But you can't tell me there ain't consequences for it. There's always consequences for everything, man. Even